Grand Rising, ladies and gentlemen, and I am Artist of Truth. Welcome to a vlog entry. So today I want to talk about accountability, right? So I stirred up a little controversy on my TikTok page, right? I used a comparison. I was actually using R. Kelly and the so-called victims that he was messing around with, the underage girls he was messing around with when I was talking about accountability, right? And a lot of people, of course, you know, they have their views, their takes on it. Some people will come out and say, "Oh, you're supporting R. Kelly. You're supporting, sexual abuse against women, and stuff like that." For the record, I don't support that. But this is the thing: I believe in holding those accountable for their involvement, their actions. When I say this, I mean when before you're doing anything, you know the difference between what's right and what's wrong. I'm pretty sure all of us have been taught the difference between what's right and what's wrong. Now, I referenced the 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 young ladies in that case as being accountable, because you have to be accountable. I heard, I listened to that documentary, and all some of the things that I took from it was young girls being reckless, young girls not being accountable for their individual actions. And I keep, and folks were just like, well, they were babies. They were babies. And I was like, babies are not over the age of 14, 13. I was like, that's why it's called 13. 13. But that's either here or there. I'm not trying to get into all that specifics of it, but if I need to, I will, because we were taught at a early age that girls mature quicker than boys. And how I was taught, girls mature quicker than boys, meaning they caught on to things and they were much more smarter than boys, right? Okay. Some, not all. Because if you know the difference between right and wrong, that's part of maturity. Knowing the difference between what's right and what's wrong. That's maturity. And I personally felt those girls, they weren't mature. They weren't mature. But also they had to be accountable for their individual actions. And it was like the society we live in, people like to make excuses for certain individuals rather than just coming out saying, you had no business being over there. You had no business doing this. You had no business doing that. You're not grown. And you're not grown. But yet, we have even kids today, males and females, that are going out here and they know they shouldn't be having sex, and they're underage, but they do it. 'Tis the reason why young girls out here are pregnant and they're underage. Not all guys are out here taking advantage of underage girls. No. If anyone tells me or tells you that, oh, girls mature quicker than boys, but then when it comes to, underage, kids getting out here and having sex, having unprotected sex, and all sorts of stuff like that, then all of a sudden the only one who is solely uh, accountable and should know better is the boys. But you can't tell me that that girls mature quicker than boys, and then when these young girls out here and their hormones are raging, because a lot of you adult females, guess what? Your hormones were raging no different than ours were raging when we were growing up. I was like, how else do you hear about underage girls ending up pregnant? Someone is giving access to their universe for an underage boy to come in and be involved with them in order to put a child there. But see, society wants to, I believe society just looks at destroying black males, young black males for that matter. Now, and I get someone will probably come up and say, "Oh, you're just victim blaming, or you just want to alleviate these young boys from a level of accountability." No, I don't want to alleviate them from any form of accountability. I mean, if you go out here and you do something wrong, you need to be held accountable. No one else should be held liable for your individual actions. We all, I was like, hey, what time? I'm like, yo, what kind of society we live in where I have to be responsible and accountable for my actions and my behaviors, but then a young lady would come along and she could do something or say something, and then society will look at me solely based off how I respond to her. They want to look at me and say, well, you're responsible because you're the adult, and this, that, and the fit. I'm like, look, I can only be responsible for me. I can only be responsible for me. I can't be responsible for you all. That's why God gave man free will. You have to be responsible for yourself, not just men, women. You have to be responsible for yourselves too. I'll give you an example of accountability not being held by a young woman. Brian Banks. You remember Brian Banks was accused of allegedly raping a high school classmate or someone that he was going to school with, right? Did 5 years in 5 years in jail, 5 years in prison or whatever, and then 5 years on probation. The only reason why he got out, not because of evidence, but because of this young lady by the name of Wanda. This young lady admitted that she lied about Brian Banks assaulting her. She admitted that. And it was a very, very famous case. Everybody and their mama heard about that. Y'all knew about that shit. But you know what? This was the part of the case that really upset me. Not only was there no evidence proving that he did what they claimed he did, but she wasn't held responsible at all when she revealed that she lied about that. No money was returned. That little over $1 million, that just poof, that just gone. And you know, you know what I noticed? Society jammed Brian Banks up, jammed him up, ruined his life, ruined his name, defamed his name, and nothing. And it was like, what was done about that? Nothing. They just let him go. It was like, oh, we're sorry about that. Sorry. But yet, here's where the lack of accountability comes in, right? And no one, not even you, society, even held her liable. When she revealed that she lied about that, she didn't do no jail time. Not one. Not even 1 month. Not even 1 year. Not even no time. Nor was she forced to even pay that daggone money back. Not only was she not accountable, but her goddamn mama wasn't even accountable either. Because her mom was playing a key part in that too. She knew her daughter was a liar. And she condoned that. She condoned that for what? 5 years? She knew her daughter was lying. Because she was the one to put her daughter up to it. So not only did her daughter know the truth and allowed this man to get locked up, his whole life get jammed up. It was like no accountability. No accountability whatsoever. So, ladies and gentlemen, in closing, where's the accountability here? Because if it is said that we must all be accountable for our individual actions and behaviors, then why is it that society is only one-sided? Like, why is it that society is only one-sided when it comes to accountability? How come these ladies out here that are lying are not being held accountable? I guess the world will never know. But protect your peace today, ladies and gentlemen. Protect your peace. And most of all, remember, Uncle Phil loves you, baby.